shipwrecks. It's a pretty strong possibility that this is. Now, why does Hollywood not get too interested in this? This is a subject that I've approached. Hollywood's they've done documentaries on Noah's Ark. They all want to hear about Noah's Ark because it's sensational. And I was on CNN, I think it was, and CNN or one of those, it was Fox or something, said, wouldn't this be valuable if you found Noah's Ark and could prove it? I said, it'd be worth nothing. It's an old piece of wood. But what it symbolizes is the saving grace of God. When I said, I think I was on Fox. When I said this, I could hear in my headset, they give you a little head thing that they give you there, and I can hear them say, get this guy off. Because they don't want to hear, and I hope I really ticked off Ted Turner, because they don't want to hear about the Bible or anybody that's going to, because people, when you tell them you look for Noah's Ark, they look at you like you wrap tinfoil around your head, and you look for the mothership. Jim Irwin came to me early on and said, hey, let's go look for Noah's Ark. Here's an astronaut looking, and I thought he was crazy. How many people remember seeing Jim Irwin on the astronauts live on TV? Remember the astronauts that walk on TV? You just stand if you saw it live on TV. Just stand. I want you to, they'll stay seated if you didn't. But this group, stand if you saw the astronauts walk on the moon live on television. Okay, those of you stay seated. Okay, I'm sorry. Getting a lot of grumbles here. If you saw the astronauts walk on the moon live. Okay, rest of you, look at these people, because this is what you're going to look like when you're really old. It makes you want to floss and do exercising, doesn't it? He's not going to buy my books now. You'll know them by their love. Jim Irwin's a great guy. He says, Bob, if we find Noah's Ark, it'll be greater than man going to the moon. And I don't know, thank you, and I don't even know if we should find the ark, because people might start worshiping it. They'll start taking, I've had people call me, so I'll give you thousands of dollars for these little pieces that we brought back. And what did Moses do when they were being bit by the snakes in outside of Moab? He made this staff, and he put the bronze serpent on it. And by the time of Hezekiah, they were worshiping this object. You see, we shouldn't look at the ark as a cult object of fascination. What it symbolizes is the saving grace of God. You see, you're either in the ark or you're off the ark. If you're in the ark, you survive. If you're off the ark, you perish. There's no spiritual Switzerland. And that's where we want to be today. Right? We want to be in the middle. The muddy middle. So what am I to do with all these stories here? Am I here to convince you? No. Because it's fun to do this. This is an adventure. I want you to be encouraged. And check out whatever I say against Scripture. If I'm quoting Scripture, check it out and see what it is according to Scripture. But I'm going to leave you with two stories about what the search for Noah's Ark has done for me. It wasn't with Jim Irwin that I had these great stories, even though I enjoyed going with Jim Irwin. But I had two amazing things that have changed my life and the way I look at the Bible and myself from these searches. One is, a couple of years ago, a guy called me and he says, hey, I think I see Noah's Ark on the mountain. I have a satellite, and I'll pay you a lot of money to go over and climb the mountain. So I got together a group of men, and I assembled a team. I told the man, I don't think this is the right mountain. He says, I don't care. I think this is it. He showed me this fuzzy photo and said, this is it. He said, but I think you're the only one that can really get up there and get up the mountain. And so he trusted me. He heard through reputation that I probably could get up there, and so I went with Bob Stuplik, who's a world-class climber. We go up there, we climb the mountain, and we're getting shot. In fact, I'm up the mountain, and the snow starts coming up the mountain. If you get caught up there, you're going to get snowed in. The climber dislocated his knee, Juma, our lead climber. Bob, our head climber, was missing. Our Kurdish climber gets hurt, and there's terrorists all up above with rifles. And so I knew that this was the end of the line for me. So I called my wife on the cell phone and said, honey, I want to tell you I love you. I'm in a bad situation. And she said, can I ask you something? And I said, yes. This was a moment, one of those movie moments. She said, honey, she just heard me explain all this. She says, when I put a load of laundry in the washing machine, the washing machine wobbles really bad. She cupped the phone and said, be quiet, kids. We have twins. And I said, honey, what are you telling me? He goes, look, you got your problems. I got my problems. I'm with the kids. She says, you'll get through with this. You'll have a great chapter in the book. And she's right. I'd get through a great chapter in the book. But anyway, I come home, and as I get home, I don't get hurt. I come back home. I knock on the front door. Honey, I'm home, and from this big adventure. Indiana Jones is back, and she said, honey, would you take out the trash? It's heavy. I can't get it down there. I live down this driveway in Colorado, and so I just get home. You're tired. So I just get home, and here I am, Indiana Jones, and I'm dragging these trash cans down the thing, and I slipped on some rocks, and I fell, and I shattered my elbow. And the moral of the story is, you can prepare for the mountain. You can climb, get equipment. You can go up, and you're ready for the mountain. But it's those little pebbles in the driveway. They're going to get you. It's the little look at a woman across your office is a pebble. It's the little pebbles in my life that have made me fall flat on my asphalt and hurt my elbow. And that's what I get. You see, when you go on these trips, it's not what we find. These anchors are fun and stuff, but the transforming things are what I find as I go on these expeditions. That's why I encourage people to go with us on this trip. We're actually going to go on a cruise here coming up real soon. We're going to go on a cruise. We're going to retrace the path of Paul. Rhonda's outside. We're going to have this beautiful sailboat, a yacht. We're going to sail through the Mediterranean in July 18th. But these trips are incredible. And those of you in the audience that have been with me on trips know what I'm talking about. It's amazing we go on these things. But the greatest example of any trip, I want to leave you with this, and I only have a few minutes to do this, is... this is the greatest discovery I've ever made on any trip. I was, in 1999, I met a man who became a very close friend of mine, and his name's Darrell Scott. His daughter was killed at Columbine High School, April 20th of that year. She was shot in the head outside of Columbine High School. I was with Darrell when he saw the news film of this that they showed, which was the graphic stuff that you didn't get to see unless it was live. And let me tell you, it was pretty bad. And I held him while he wept. And then I also became really good friends with John Tomlin, whose son was killed in the library at Columbine High School. Now, John Tomlin is a big guy. His son was a tall boy, and he was grieving terribly, as we all would, after that tragedy, and so was Darrell. So as they were being interviewed by all these news people, I said, hey, let's go look for Noah's Ark of all things. Let's go over to a mountain over in Iran. We're going to look. We didn't find anything this trip, but we went anyway, and we thought we might find something. We took the mountain. We took it in quadrants. So I took these guys, and they were like little kids. Let's go. And as we go up in the mountain, as we get towards the top of the mountain, we find a place to camp at about 12,500 feet. And we get our Jeeps, and our backs are all sore from bouncing around and in these dusty Jeeps. And we get up there, and there's no food in the Jeep. The guide, Ali, had given away all our food as we're going up the mountain. He gave this food away to all the villages. I'm up on this mountain with an expedition for 3 more days. We're up there with absolutely no food and water. And it's dinner time. You women know what I'm talking about. Your men get a little grouchy. They're looking at me as the team leader and say, okay, Indiana Jones, where's the food? And I go, don't worry about it. I've got it all under control. I went to the front of the Jeep and said, oh, Lord, how are we going to feed these people? Then I saw a flock of sheep across the valley. A flock of sheep that was spilling over this hill, and I took the Jeeps, and we went over there, and we met with this nomad chieftain. They live as if they did 2,000 years ago. The dome tents and the women with the veils. And I said, I'd like to buy a sheep from you. And he goes, okay. We negotiated. It was $35. without the pelt.